Hi, my name is Dylan Cole, and I'm with Aiden Zimmerman. Welcome to Youth Voices of Greater Cincinnati. Today, we have two very special guests. They're with the Dragonfly Foundation. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Davidson. I'm the co-founder of the Dragonfly Foundation.
Hi, I'm Maureen Scahill, and I'm the Student Programs Manager with the Dragonfly Foundation.
How long have you, both of you, been working with the Dragonfly Foundation?
Well, I'm the co-founder, and so I started the organization with my best friend 8 years ago, so I've been there the whole entire time. And Maureen has been a volunteer since forever.
For about 7 of those 8 years.
Yeah.
And then just recently I started on with the Student Programs position this past summer.
What does the Dragonfly Foundation do?
So we basically help and support families of young pediatric cancer patients. So we support not only the patient, but their family by hosting different kinds of events, both in hospital programs we offer to them, including from the time they're diagnosed. We provide a care bag of items that are needed for personal care items to help them organize all of the information as they're getting new results from their doctor and new information. Starts there. And then once they decide to be a part of our Dragonfly family, we also offer ways to support the family through gifting options that we have, events that we offer, just to bring a lot of joy to their family. So our mission is basically to bring strength, courage, and joy to the family. So we do that through hosting in-hospital programs as well as events for our families as well.
You said you give them personal care items. Can you tell me what those are?
So upon admission at the hospital, a lot of times our families may not have come with a bag packed or might not have realized that they're going to be in the hospital for a long stay. So what we developed is our care bag, and it's our way of introducing the Dragonfly Foundation to the family. In that, if they don't have an overnight bag, they may need a toothbrush. It might be as simple as some deodorant, some shampoo, any kind of personal care items like that that they may not have thought to have with them. It also includes like soft toilet paper and tissues, unscented fabric care products, as well as
Earplugs and flashlights and all kinds of things. Thank you notes. You know, there really is no orientation, no information that you can read ahead of time, what to bring to the hospital when you have cancer, because nobody really expects that. And a lot of times they come in through the emergency room or are flown here from other cities, and they don't have basic needs to help them through that time. And when the kids are being tested and getting treatments, they want their parents or caregivers with them. They don't want their mom or dad to go to the gift shop or to the store or back home to go pick up something and leave them. So we give them all the things that they need to stay at their child's bedside.
Is Dragonfly just a certain place, or are there multiple places throughout?
We have grown over the last 8 years to help 5 locations of 4 hospitals. So it's Cincinnati Children's, there's 2 locations of that, Dayton Children's, and then 2 hospitals in Chicago. But the money that we raise in this area stays in this area, and the money that we raise in Chicago stays in Chicago. So we're really trying to grow as fast as we can to help as many as we can without sacrificing or putting at risk what we've already built. You know, because the last thing we'd want is for us not to be able to support the families that we currently have just because we want to help more families.
How old are the patients that you usually work with?
So our patients range in age from birth to age 40. 60% of them are from this area, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana, and 40% come from all over, not just other states, but even other countries that come to Cincinnati Children's. And then we also support thousands more that are at the other partner hospitals who can't benefit from some of the things that we do outside of the hospital here.
Do you guys have any goals for this year to set for the Dragonfly Foundation?
Absolutely. We're always trying to reach as more families as possible, to do more for them. One of the exciting things that's happening is that we purchased a house in Clifton, and we're renovating that, and we want to do different things like have an activity room for patients to go watch movies, and an internet cafe, and places where they can sit down and enjoy music and get away from the hospital even for a couple of hours. To have it be a safe location, because our kids are often immune compromised, which means that they can easily get sick. So a flu or coming into contact with some bacteria can actually kill them. So flu season is really hard on our families because they can't be around their siblings who go to school. You know, your fellow students, I'm sure you guys have seen already people come into school sick. Well, that's really dangerous for our Dragonfly families because even the smallest little cold can put them in the hospital. If they get a fever of any kind, they have to rush to the emergency room. You know, our kids can't go play at a McDonald's playground. They can't go to a park without cleaning every single slide or monkey bar with a hand sanitizing wipe because it's just so risky to have any kind of germ or bacteria. And even, in school, having kids that don't wash their hands or who touch food when other kids touch food, those things are really dangerous when you don't have immunity or the cells that can fight off those infections. And that's what chemotherapy takes away from you when you go through treatment. It makes it really hard to fight things that for you guys would be not a big deal, but for our families it really is trouble. So this house that we're getting will be a place where patients in the hospital can come over, hang out for an hour or two, rest, relax, recharge, have fun, watch a movie, play a video game, do ping pong, all kinds of different activities that they wouldn't really have access to otherwise, because their choices are home or the hospital, or Ronald McDonald House in the hospital. Having the landing, which is what we call our house, is a place where they can go when there's not many places they can go.
What has been your guys' biggest accomplishment while working in the Dragonfly Foundation?
Oh gosh. Well, accomplishment, certainly raising any kind of money to help our families. It's really hard to do. But I would put it less in terms of accomplishments, but more in terms of memorable moments. What kind of things have happened to us over the last 8 years that have been really exciting. Do you guys know who Marty Brenneman is?
Yeah.
So he's the sports broadcasting legend for the Reds on radio. And he wore our shirt underneath his Reds jersey one day when he shaved his head. Do you remember that in 2012? He shaved his head, and then after he shaved his head, he took off his jersey, and like Superman, you know how Superman's dressed up in a shirt and tie? Well, he took off his Reds jersey, and he was wearing our I'm Still Me shirt under it. And everyone first of all, they had never heard of us. We were only 2 years old at the time. And people from all over the world saw that shirt and called us to say, can we have an I'm Still Me shirt? People who had all kinds of cancer or burn victims or alopecia victims. And they wanted something that could say, no matter what they look like on the outside, they're still amazing people on the inside. Mm-hmm. So that was incredible. And then more recently, a car company chose us as the only nonprofit they're featuring in a national campaign. And so they created a film about us, and it's actually online and in car dealerships around the country. And considering we're only 8 years old, it's pretty cool to have that.
How many people work with the Dragonfly Foundation?
We just hired our 8th person, and we have a part-timer, so we're 8.5 people now. But that half person is awesome too. Well, Maureen's our half person. But they're all fantastic, and they work really, really hard.
How much do you guys individually work with the patients that you get?
It just depends on the role. We have people who are specifically dedicated to helping patients and the hospital. So they're actually involved with them all the time. I'm probably about 60% of my time. So, whether it's trying to help connect them to resources, just being an ear to listen, getting them the things that they need to help make it through a complicated time. It's really hard to go through that and feel like you're not supported or that you don't have a community. And a lot of times our families don't have anyone to fall back on, don't have someone who can really let them know that they care.
You said 60% of your time is spending time with patients. What's the other 40%?
Oh gosh, everything. Coming to speak with you guys, trying to raise money, get auction items, meet with potential sponsors. I do a lot of public speaking, and I really enjoy what I do, but it's definitely one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my career.
You said that certain people do certain roles.
Mm-hmm.
So how many different roles are there to be at the Dragonfly Foundation?
Well, we don't have two roles alike. So we have someone who's in charge of the hospital programs and the overall programming. Then we have someone who's in charge of patient events. And they go out and get tickets and suites, and they help decide who gets to go to what event. Then we have someone who's in charge of the landing, which is our patient family space. They manage all the maintenance of that house and certainly now the construction and renovation. Then we have Maureen, who's totally in charge of our student programs, and she's done an amazing job connecting us with schools. And she actually invented Camp Dragonfly. She came up with the curriculum for that. And then there's Christine and I, who are co-founders, and we try to get as much support for the organization as we can. Everything from tow truck drivers to tow a car, to plumbers who can help a family who needs some plumbing work done on their house, to tickets and suites to help families go see an event. There shouldn't be an empty seat in any venue when there are kids that might not be here, tomorrow. And if we can help them create a memory today, that's a good thing, So, am I missing anybody? Then we have, Jen, who's in charge of our community events and volunteers. So there's a lot to do, that's for sure.
How many families do you work with at one time?
I believe we're at 1,100 families. There's more than 5,000 adults and kids that we support now that are registered. And then thousands more that are treated at hospitals but who don't fill out the form to say, I want to be a Dragonfly. They get support in the hospital whether or not they fill out that form. But to get support outside of the hospital, they have to register with us.
You said that you guys invented Camp Dragonfly. How long has it been running, and also what happens at Camp Dragonfly?
Sure. Camp Dragonfly has now been around for 2 years. So it's a 1-week summer camp, so 5 days that we have been having it at the landing. It's for 5th and 6th grade students. And the idea of Camp Dragonfly is basically to help encourage the students to find something they're passionate about, to use their talents and find ways that they can help and serve others and be philanthropic. We have different activities and kind of lessons and discussions that we do with the kids throughout the week to encourage them about discussing with each other what is compassion, what is empathy, how can we be empathetic towards other people. This year, one of the most exciting things that we did was we have 20 kids that come in, and I believe 11 of them were returners from the year prior. And they worked together to develop, we called it a fundraiser, where they went out, they sought donations for raffle baskets. I mean, these kids had 5 days to do this. And in the time they did, they decided each day to do a service project for a different nonprofit as well, because we encourage them, like I said, we want them to spread kindness around, not just to support Dragonfly. It's great that they do, but we want them to find something that they love. And then they had games, they had activities, they arranged food and had flyers made and everything. So over the course of 5 days, they worked together as teams to develop this. And they even did the presentation at the end, which I didn't have to do, so I was excited. But Camp Dragonfly it's a 1-week summer camp that's open to about 20 kids each summer.
And these are kids that don't have cancer. These are just regular kids, and we're trying to teach them, to do good at home, at school, and in their community, because everybody can do something. And if everybody did something, the world would be a better place.
Do you have certain places for certain patients, or can they all do the same thing?
So in our current space, where we are right now, it's 6,000 square feet. And we used to have a teen and young adult room. We called it the Flight Club, where they could go, kids that were 13 to and older could go in and watch movies and do video games and keep out their little brothers and sisters or kids. And then we also have a child area with Thomas the Train and little race cars and little games and books and things for little ones. And then we have more kind of older kids, kind of like your age group, where you can go and do video games and board games and different things. And we also have a stage area. So we've had national acts come in and perform. And then we have a bigger area where there's ping pong and air hockey. And we've had science demonstrations for our Dragonfly families where they've hovercrafted across the floor. They've done all kinds of sciencey things. And then there's also an adult side where adults can just kind of put their feet up, lean back, throw, take a nap. But a lot of times the kids go and they'll take the cushions off the pillows, off the couches, and then go do Superman into them, So they tend to use the entire space when they're there. And they can come anytime that they want during open hours, or they can make an appointment to come in. And then we also do events where parents can drop the kids off, and then they can go out and we'll watch the kids so that the parents can have some time alone, with each other, or meet as a group with other Dragonfly families.
Do you work with patients that have like all different types of cancer?
Yeah. So it's anyone who's treated at a pediatric cancer hospital for pediatric cancer. And again, so it's birth to age 40, so it could be all kinds of cancers. I think we've got probably like 300 different types of cancers in our database of different things that could occur. And a lot of times these patients don't just have cancer. They might have something that they already had when they got cancer. For example, kids with Down syndrome are much more likely to develop cancer. So you think, they're already affected and just a little bit different, but, challenged in some ways. And then they have this other challenge too. And when we have our patients, no matter what their situation is, a lot of times they're faced with bullying. So whether it's if they are able to go to school in between treatments, or they're in recovery, or they've lost their hair, but they're well enough to go to school during non-flu season times, a lot of times kids will go, look, he's got cancer, and think that they can't hear. So I'm hoping that picked it up on the mic. But, or people will point and stare, So what we want to do is, as Maureen was mentioning, is just try to bring some kindness in the world. Because no matter what your situation, even without cancer, to have someone wave at you out of kindness, to have someone sit at lunch with you, to let you know that you're not alone during the day is a really nice thing. And when your days might be limited, it becomes even more important.
So what has been the most valuable thing that you've learned while working at Dragonfly?
How wonderfully nice people can be. The capacity for kindness. People want to help, but they don't necessarily know how. And I think that's been one of the biggest lessons I've had is if you ask someone, generally they'll help. And you hear so many stories about crime and people who don't necessarily have great intentions or do something bad. But I'm a firm believer that the good in people outweighs the bad, that there are more good people in the world than bad. And especially when you see students get behind our kids and get behind our organization, it gives you a lot of hope for the world at a time when in the media it can present such a dark place.
What are the ways that you get the name the Dragonfly Foundation out there for the people?
Well, right now we've got big blue billboards all over. So if you're driving around Cincinnati, you probably see the blue billboards with the yellow writing that say Dragonfly on them. But we have donated ads, or ads that we are able to get a discount on. We do lots of events, more than 100 fundraisers and community events last year, on top of all the patient events that we do, and those are hundreds and hundreds more. Going out and public speaking is a lot of my time, and having programs like the student programs where other people can champion what we do.
Even as simple as you guys wearing that bracelet.
Yeah.
That's what you guys are doing, is being champions for Dragonfly by wearing that, because someone might recognize that you have that on and they'll say, what's Dragonfly? Well, you can now tell them what Dragonfly is. So that's exactly what we do is we have other people who basically help us. As Rhea said, the kindness of other people is what keeps us going.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's not easy. You hear these families struggle and these kids that one day look great and the next day they're not. And we've been to more funerals than I can tell you. And but the vast majority of our kids get well. It's a difficult journey that they're on, but to know that there are people out there who care about these families and who care about Dragonfly and who are invested in our mission, that's a really cool thing. Really, really cool.
So for both of you, what was your motivation to start Dragonfly, and what made you want to join Dragonfly?
My mother-in-law died of brain and lung cancer in my home. I took care of her, and I thought that was the worst thing I'd ever seen. And then 6 months later, my best friend's little boy was diagnosed, and it was a different experience entirely. And when we saw so many kids and families in the hospital who didn't have the support that my best friend's little boy and her family had, we wanted to do something to make a difference and help them too. And then
Maureen?
I actually was looking for volunteer opportunities, and a friend told me about Dragonfly right after they first started. And I realized that the mission of what Dragonfly does is so important, and to be able to be a part of it just kept me wanting to come back and do more for them. And then about 1 or 2 years into my volunteer with Dragonfly, my cousin's little boy was diagnosed on Christmas Eve with neuroblastoma. And I reached out to Rhea, and over the holidays, she responded back to me Rhea will respond back to you at all crazy hours of the night. But exactly, I said, what can I do? What can I do to help my cousin and his little baby? And she gave me all these great ideas, and they seem so sensible that you would think of, be there for them, send them messages of encouragement, let them know that they're not alone and that you're there. And so knowing that Rhea was so passionate about what she did made me want to continue and inspired me to continue working with them. And I'm incredibly pleased to report that my cousin's little boy is now in 2nd grade and doing very well. But there's always that one person out there that you probably know that you can help. And so it just keeps us going, that knowing that there is that need there for Dragonfly and what we can offer our families.
And what's exciting is I think we've been able to explore kids helping kids too. There was a little boy named Connor who at 8 years old started a walk-run around his neighborhood, just invited his friends over. And 5 years later, he's still doing it for us. And he's raised, more than $50,000 out of it, just by having people come over. And the second year, he needed porta potties. And this is an 8-year-old. So it's amazing when kids can use their talents and time and their connections to make a difference. And as Maureen said, just wearing our bracelet is huge. If kids can do art, they can draw a dragonfly and hang it up on the wall, so when someone comes over and says, that's a beautiful dragonfly, they can use it as an opportunity to say, I did that because I really like the Dragonfly Foundation, and oh, by the way, they help kids with cancer. And it might be the first time that person hears about us, or the 10th time that person is exposed to our organization. And that might be just what they need to get involved in some way, whether to connect us maybe to someone else, or to volunteer, or to sponsor, get their company involved. Because it's all about who you know. It really is. It's all about having the right connections, and then being able to engage those people in a way that is valuable to them, where they can really see that we're making a difference.
Where's your main workplace at?
So we're right off of 71 in Fields Erdel. So we're just, if you know where Kings Island is, we're one exit south of Kings Island. And so it's not too far. It took me about 15 minutes to get to Norwood Schools.
To have an actual job at the Dragonfly Foundation, are there any requirements to?
That's a really great question. Yeah. So it depends on this. It depends on what the job function is. So we prefer people to go to school, because when you go to college, you learn different classes and things that really broaden your horizons. And it's not that they have to have a degree necessarily in what we're asking them to do, but to have a basic understanding of how a business might function, or how to communicate, or how to plan an event, or how to manage something or manage people. So that's always really important to us. And then having experience in that area is also important, because it's with experience that you learn from your mistakes, and you grow, and you have opportunities to explore new ideas, and to work with different people. And so for kids, as you're growing up, one of the things that when we first came in, was we talked about, it starts with the handshake, but then it's what you do after that handshake, and how you can maximize those opportunities to learn. And there's no such thing as wasted effort. So if you take a class and you're like, oh, why do I have to take math? I'll never use math. Somewhere down the line, it might become important. You just don't know how. But if you put your best into it, it'll always be worth the effort.
What is the biggest events that you've had?
Our biggest event by far is our gala, which is a big formal dance. And this year we're doing it at Music Hall on March 2nd, which is downtown. And it's a masquerade ball where people come in tuxedos and long dresses, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And then our next biggest event is our golf tournament. And that has about 110 golfers in Mason that come and play golf. But we've pretty much done, I think, every kind of fundraiser possible. We've done walk runs. We just did a motorcycle ride last summer for the first time. We do dining events where if you go eat at a restaurant on a specific day, that they might donate 10% of what someone might pay at like a Frisch's, for example. And then we've done scavenger hunts, we've done
The
like
Chalk Art Festival, which is just a lot of fun.
concerts. Yeah.
So another really big event that we do on a student side is Sycamore High School has our Fashion for the Cure,
Amazing.
where the students design some of their own fashions, make them, and then they have models from freshman to senior year. And they invite our Dragonfly kiddos to be a part of that event. They design a shirt that the students then make for them, and they get to be part of walking the catwalk and being announced. And a lot of them really get into it and strut their stuff. And then they coordinate or choreograph a dance with the Dragonflies too. So they just really love that event. But they work all year on planning that. Other schools have had really great events at basketball games for us to raise awareness and to get the Dragonfly name out there, make and design their own shirts. And head shaving events.
But at the ride, one of the cool things was that there was a group of families who didn't talk to each other, but they saw that on our event calendar we were having a motorcycle ride. They found out where we were riding to, and they had their families come and write poster boards, "Thank you for supporting Dragonfly." And so the riders, as they were driving by, saw kids holding these signs saying thank you. And so it's something like that is going to make those people want to come back to our events because people were so supportive of us. So as much as the event could be awesome, to have other people show that Dragonfly is worthy and doing an important part of contributing to society, that's why they're going to support us in the future. So what would inspire you guys to get involved in a nonprofit?
We had a teacher. She worked at Norwood View, and she got diagnosed with breast cancer and just other sorts of cancer. And her passing was really hard. So that inspired a lot of people to start working with nonprofit organizations.
It's wonderful.
That's what I had on my mind. I was best friends with her and everyone in her family. So.
Well, you're doing good things in her honor, and I'm sure she's watching and being so appreciative of you guys. And like I said, everybody can do something. It doesn't have to be a big thing. If everybody did something, tell someone, take action, be kinder, be gentler, open a door for someone, wave as you're driving down the street. We give bumper stickers out at our events, and we always tell people, if you see a bumper sticker, wave at our bumper sticker. Because having someone wave at you out of kindness instead of road rage makes a lot of difference, And just think about that. If someone waves at you or says hello or thank you or you look nice or gosh, you really helped me today, you're going to be nicer to the next person that you meet, and you might pass that on. And it's those kind of things that bring light into the dark.
Can people donate to the Dragonfly Foundation?
Absolutely. So they can go to our website at dragonfly.org. They can also text to donate, so they can, on their cell phones, they can do text TDF, the Dragonfly Foundation, TDF, to 91999. They can come to our events. We have all of our events listed on our website at dragonfly.org. And sometimes that's a way to give without having to give your money. If you go and you're going to be eating in a restaurant already, the restaurant will give us a percentage sometimes out of what you would normally pay. And so there's lots of ways to get involved. But and if you're going on Amazon, you can go on smile.amazon.com to buy things, and you can choose to select the Dragonfly Foundation, and Amazon will donate money. So you're not having to donate money, it's just coming through because you purchased something that you would normally purchase. Mm-hmm. So there's always something that people can do. We can do $5 gas cards. If someone can donate a $5 gas card and that's all they can do, that's the most important $5 to us, because we can put it with other $5 gas cards and make a tank of gas for a family who can't afford to visit their kids in the hospital. So it doesn't have to be the big giant donations. Of course, we'll certainly take it, but sometimes it's the little things that mean just as much.
So it doesn't have to be like an exact number, but about how much do you guys get in donations?
This past year, we had about 1.1 million in in-kind donations and about 1 million in cash contributions. So in-kind donations are like goods and services and products and things. About 80% of our donations are $1,500 or less, and 80% of those are $50 or less. So you can tell how hard we work to get that money in. And with that money, we buy things like laptops for the hospital, $5,000 charging stations in the Parents Lounge, Kings Island events. We bought season's tickets to the Bengals games to be able to send our families there. Food at events that we pay for. So, and all kinds of things. Printing of books that we have. We publish 2 books. So we give those things to our families. And then she mentioned the new diagnosis care bag that has about $150 worth of items just in one care bag that we pay for. So all of that money goes to helping our families. 88% of it does.
What books have you published?
So we did 2 books. One is a tips book for caregivers. It's, most moms would know what to expect when you're expecting. I don't know if you guys have heard of that book or not. But it's we asked our families, what did you wish you knew when your child was diagnosed? And how did you get through treatment? How did you get your kids to eat? Where did you go cry in the hospital? How did you work with the hospital staff? How did you talk to your doctor? And all of those tips we put into a book. And then the second book was a book about hair loss. And that was actually Children's Hospital's idea. They wanted a book that helped families before, during, and after. Because when you are diagnosed, parents and the kids, if you're old enough to really understand what's happening, generally feel like the next test is going to say it's negative, that it's not cancer. They're going to be wrong. It can't be cancer. I can't believe this is happening. And then when the patient starts losing their hair, that's really when the reality sets in of how difficult this is going to be. So we asked our families, how did you get through before, during, and after hair loss? And then we asked the caregivers too, because they're freaking out sometimes as much or more than the patients are. And we put that into a book, and the hospital loved it so much that they put their logo on it. And they had their social worker and child life write letters on the inside, which is, they hadn't done that before. So that was really exciting for us too.
Do either of you guys ever have people that come in to talk with the patients that you have?
So yeah, so we'll do events sometimes where, like I mentioned, that science demonstration. So we had a scientist come in and do like sciencey kind of things. One of the things that they did was they took Dixie cups and they turned them upside down on the ground, and they would step on one and it would crush. But if you put a bunch on the ground, and you like a whole bunch, like this many Dixie cups, and you step on top of it, it distributes your weight so you can actually stand on top of Dixie cups. Isn't that kind of cool? Yeah. So yeah, we try to do stuff like that. We've had people come in and do massages for our families. We've had artists come in and perform. And at the new house that we're going to do, we're going to try to schedule more things on a regular basis, whether it's art appreciation or musicians to come in and perform. So we're going to try to do more of that stuff.
Another fun thing that we've had is come in and talk to the kids, or the service animals with Circle Tail. And I don't know if the kids like it or we like it better, but it's just they get to play with the dogs and learn a little bit about how they train the dogs too, and it helps the kids. But that's another one that I know everybody enjoys too. And Cincinnati Circus has come to do shows, and we've had young kids who are magicians in training come and do events for us too.
Is there anything you want to say that we didn't ask you?
You guys have done such a fantastic job. I really just can't thank you guys enough for giving us this opportunity to reach other students at the school. And I'm so proud of you guys, because it would be so much easier to not care, right? To move on after your teacher died. But you made the choice, the conscious choice, to do something to honor her memory. And no matter who you are, if you could leave a legacy like that, what an amazing person she must have been, you know? So, and I'm sure her family is very grateful that you guys did that for her. So thank you for including us in that.
No problem.
impact is not only how proud we are of you guys coming out of your comfort zone to do this,
Yeah.
but to raise awareness is phenomenal. So we're grateful for your time, but also continue to think of ways that you can, in your friend and your teacher's honor, continue to do kind things to other people, whether it be leave a message on a locker for somebody that just says, I hope you're having a great day, you got a great smile, or tell people a joke to make them laugh. Bring joy into other people's lives, however you can. Help your mom by cleaning up your room without being asked. Just anything, help a neighbor, get the mail for somebody. There's just so many different ways that you guys can do it. And you probably do it every day, you just don't think of the impact that you are having on them, but be proud of the kind things that you do for other people and grow from that and use that as ways to serve anybody else around. Maybe it's a complete stranger that you could pay it forward to, but pass it on. Whatever you do is continue to bring that happiness and kindness to others.
Yeah, every day, find something. Make that choice to do good. Make that choice to encourage, and even, try to get your friends to do something, because, sometimes one person can make an impact, but you can also make an impact by getting other kids to do good. Just every day, try to find something, anything for anyone, because that stone that you throw in that pond has ripples that you don't even see at some point, but it's still going to make an impact.
Has there been any big events like you didn't necessarily know about or knew about until they happened?
Oh my gosh, so many. So we'll find out that someone had a birthday party and they told everybody that they were going to, instead of getting gifts, donate toys to Dragonfly. And we didn't know about it happening ahead of time, and they just show up. Or someone will hold a fundraiser for us, or there's so many good things that people are out there trying to do, and it's just amazing. It's amazing what an incredibly generous community we live in, and I think, again, if you tell people you need help, people will respond, and it's a good life lesson too. So if you need help, ask for help. You don't have to do anything alone in the world. You really don't. There's always someone who's willing to help if you just ask for it.
An incredible surprise we had just before the holidays was 2 young girls from Mason decided, in honor of a friend of theirs who had passed, that they decided to have a toy drive in honor of her for the Dragonfly Foundation. And they raised over $1,000 in gift cards and a carload of toys that when they brought it to us, it was a complete surprise, really. We didn't even know they were doing this, but they put hours and hours of their time into it in honor of their friend. And to even try and grasp how many lives that they're going to touch from the impact that they have with those gifts that we're able to share with our families is phenomenal. So that was quite a blessing and a surprise.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, I remember one of the kids that was supporting us not only had a birthday thing, but walked around school with dragonflies on their hand. So when people said, why do you have a dragonfly on your hand? They would be like, Dragonfly Foundation, or what's that? So, it's really cool. There's always something that someone can do, always.
So about how long do you guys work in a day at Dragonfly?
Well, you asked the wrong person that question. How many hours are in a day?
Let's see, 26 hours I work out of every 24. No, but there's so many kids who need us, and we can't work fast enough to help them all. So that's really the inspiration for watching our phone, answering emails at any hour, putting whatever time we need to do to help, because we know that there's so many more that are going to get diagnosed tomorrow that we don't even know about today. And there's so many things today that we can do to help for kids that might not have it tomorrow.
Is working at the Dragonfly like a sit-down job, or are you constantly out?
I'm constantly out and about. So probably 60% of my time is out and about, and about 40% is sitting down. And Maureen is out and about too, just as much.
Oh yeah, I would say probably more like 80% is out and about. But the fun thing is you get to go to those events and you get to see other people doing good and having fun while they're doing it. But then when you get to go to the patient and family events, you see all the joy that it brings to them. And it's worth every moment, every minute that you put into, you call it a job, but it's really a passion.
Yeah, we've had, I can tell you story after story. One of my favorite stories, if there's time, we had one of our Dragonfly kids had to move out of state, And she was really young. She was like 6 going into first grade. And you know how classrooms are usually in first grade, they're all decorated by theme. Well, this little girl didn't want to go to class or didn't want to go to the new school. She wanted to come back to Cincinnati for her school. And the mom called the principal and said, can you meet me at the front door because I can't do this alone. She's throwing a hissy fit and I just don't have the energy. And this little girl was holding onto the wall. No, Mommy, I don't want to go to this school. But they somehow got her through the halls down to her classroom. And this little girl who was still crying and sobbing sees the door, turns around to her mom, stops crying and says, it's okay, Mommy, I'm with my Dragonfly friends. She had been assigned to the Dragonfly classroom. And the teachers in the school had no idea about the Dragonfly Foundation. So the mom got back in the car, called me and said, you have no idea what you've done and what you've created because of you, my daughter felt comfortable to go in her classroom. And we've had people who've gone to doctor's appointments, even the dentist, and said, I was feeling so awful today. I was feeling so sad or so alone. And on a picture on a wall or in a magazine or, you know, someone mentioned the Dragonfly Foundation or I saw your billboard on the street and then I knew everything was going to be okay. I mean, that's amazing. You know, the power of that little image, this little dragonfly thing.
So just here in the local Cincinnati, it doesn't have to be like at all time, but it can just be like the past month or year. How many patients have you helped?
Oh gosh. So I think we register about 35 patients a month just in Cincinnati, not including Dayton Children's or the 2 other hospitals. But yeah, it's about 30 to 35 patients a month is what we do.
When you say 35 patients, does that include their families too?
Yes, so it would be more than that. So if you multiply that times like, let's say 4 people per family, roughly, that's about 120 people that we take on a month.
If you look back at last month in particular, with it being the holidays, we adopted families for that's one of our big programs is the Adopt a Family for the holidays. So we adopted over 100.
There's 120 inpatients that we gave gifts to, and then I forget how many outpatients that we did.
It was our biggest year yet
was over 100,
for supporting the families. But
Yeah.
I mean, we created, through the generosity of
Absolutely.
volunteers and donors and sponsors, we were able to do this. But to give those kids the Christmas that they deserve and the families the Christmas that they deserve.
Yeah, and these are low-income families that already are challenged, but then have the challenge of medical costs on top of it. So, you know, sometimes they can't have gifts or get the clothes that they need or the food that they need. And so we'll help make sure that that happens.
So what is the best thing that you've seen happen, like that somebody has done for a patient who had cancer, not from the Dragonfly Foundation?
Oh gosh, so many
That's a great
things.
question.
Oh, you know, I love that I can post something on Facebook and in 2 minutes find someone to help me. So no matter what it is, if I post it and say this is an urgent need, that there are people out there to respond. So that to me is always just amazing that we have built a community of such generous supporters that they really help us whenever possible, and come to our rescue. That's the greatest thing, because sometimes we'll get a request from the hospital and we'll look at each other and go, how on earth are we going to make this happen? How can we get this for this family as fast as we possibly can? And the phone will ring or someone will respond to the post that we make and go, I can help. You know, that's amazing, amazing.
What are all the social medias that the Dragonfly Foundation's on?
So we're on pretty much everything. We have a YouTube channel that has more than 100 videos on it. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And then the car company, which is Lincoln Motor Company, put us on all of their social media. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And then also on LincolnDrivenToGive.com. They put a film that they made about us. They had 12 people come to Cincinnati for over a week to film us. It's incredible. And so that's out there right now.
Are there any parts of your job, certainly, that are frustrating to you, or is everything?
Not enough hours in the day. That's probably the biggest thing. You know, fundraising is the biggest challenge. I wouldn't say it's frustrating. It's a challenge because there are so many worthy causes and so much need in the world. It's not just about cancer. It could be education. It could be hunger. It could be other diseases or illnesses. And there are so many worthy causes and worthy organizations that sometimes it can be hard to get your need heard. And you have to work really hard for every dollar, every opportunity. But we know how much our families need it. And we knew that we had that peg that fit in that puzzle perfectly. We just didn't know how deep the hole went when we started. We thought we could do a toy drive. That's what we thought. And they needed so much more than we could have ever imagined.
Are there any like hard parts of your job?
Yeah, losing
that
kids.
you go through?
Losing dragonflies. Or having to say that I can't help a family because they have a disease that we don't handle. And their child is suffering. We get contacted a lot by other parents who don't have a dragonfly to go to, and that's really hard to be able to say, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Or if they have cancer and they're from Indiana or at a hospital that we don't support, that's really hard to say, I'm sorry, we're not there yet. Or when a hospital calls and says, how fast can you get here to help these families? And we have to reply, not fast enough, unfortunately. So those are the hard parts. And it's never easy when you lose someone, especially a kid.
How did you get the name, the Dragonfly Foundation?
We wanted something where it wasn't cancer in the name. We didn't want, because kids already know they have cancer. Patients already know. And families who get involved with us know. They don't need anybody to say you have cancer. And so we thought of something that would be easy to draw. And originally we thought of like a butterfly or a ladybug, because those are really easy. Anybody can draw that. And my best friend's little boy, who was the one who inspired Dragonfly, heard us talking and said, well, that sounds girly. And we said, all right, Smarty, what are you thinking? And he's like, Dragonfly. And when we looked it up, it actually means care and comfort for children, strength and courage. There's all these different meanings to what a dragonfly is. Dragonflies can fly faster than a horse can run. So if you made a dragonfly as big as a horse, a dragonfly would beat it every time, beat a horse every time. So, and that's kind of what we do. When we have a need, we respond within minutes, hours. And so it just seemed like it was the perfect emblem. And so kids can say, I'm a dragonfly, are you? Instead of, I'm a kid with cancer.
And do you think that Dragonfly is ever going to expand?
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, our hope is that there'll be a cure for cancer, for every cancer. And if that happens, we'll start doing organ donation or mental health. So we've got a plan B. We're hoping that there's a cure for every cancer. But the reality is that it's not going to happen fast enough. So in the meantime, we're setting up our structure so that we can expand to other cities.
Do you have any certain destinations that you're wanting to go to? Or?
Probably next would be like Lexington, New York, Nashville. We have someone in Phoenix who wants to start up something, but we've had Los Angeles, New York, Seattle, Orlando. Pretty much, I can't even tell, I've lost count of how many hospitals have asked us to come there. So Washington, they all need help, So yeah, we can't grow fast enough.
Are there any professional athletes that support the Dragonfly Foundation?
So Adam Eaton, who used to be a Reds player, baseball, he's now with the Nationals. He's a longtime supporter of ours. He just held a second car show in Washington, D.C. for us. Joey Votto has helped us. So many that have really, so many. We're very grateful. So and Marty Brenneman certainly has been so active from the time that he shaved his head to now, and he's even on our board.
What is the best way to help kids calm down or be okay?
To not be afraid.
Not be afraid.
So probably the best thing that kids can do to help other kids that are going through cancer is to not treat them any differently. right? Because they want to know that that you still like them, that just because they don't have hair doesn't mean that they're any different from you. You know, they still like baseball, they still, you know, play with friends, and that's the best thing you can do, is not treat them differently. The second best thing you can do is stand up for them. So if you see other people not being nice and not being kind, that you come to their rescue, that you be their champion. But you should be doing that for everybody, right? You should be making sure that everybody feels like they're not alone. You know, we're all pack animals. You know, we want to be part of something, and you want to know that you matter and that people value you. And it's no different for kids that are going through the Dragonfly Foundation. Except it might be even more important because they might not have it tomorrow. You know, you want to make sure to make the most of their lives today.
Did any of your events include like bullying? Like why you shouldn't bully somebody with cancer?
So we did Camp Dragonfly, and that was a big component of it. And do you want to talk about that?
Sure. That was actually a great component, because we had, again, that was only 20 kids that we reached to, but the beauty of what we discussed with them is that they can then take that into their schools and share that with their friends. But the idea was, again, as Rhea mentioned, it's not just being kind to our dragonflies, it's being kind to everybody in general. As far as not bullying, it's the simple things. Respect. It all comes down to respect for everybody. You never know the battles other people are facing, so be respectful of everybody at all times. We also, in our high school student programs, we have a month. The next month is basically just kindness in general. How can we be kind to other people every day? Like I said, it's as simple as just paying a compliment to somebody, sincere compliment, and making sure that like Rhea said, if somebody is saying something unkind to another person, be that stronger person and go up and support them.
About how many events do you guys hold each year?
So in 2018, we held more than 112 fundraising and community events. And then we held nearly 300 patient family events that are free to our families to go to. So we have a suite at US Bank Arena that we can send 18 adults and kids to concerts and hockey games and Disney on Ice and things. But we also paid for them to go to Kings Island. We held a Thanksgiving event, a fall festival. We did a holiday party. We send them to movies. We did Full Throttle, where they got to ride cars. If there's a place in Cincinnati that has an empty ticket or who will donate tickets and suites, we'll send them. We send them to dinner to places where they would never be able to afford to go, to give them that experience together, where they can go have a nice meal. Yeah, so it's trying to do what we can when we can, as often as we can.
In your Dragonfly building, about how many jobs or volunteers do you have?
Oh, I wish I could hire a whole bunch of people for it, but we've got a lot of volunteer opportunities coming in there, because we're going to have to kind of watch over them and help them and make sure that their needs are met and that they're safe. So we'll be relying on a lot of volunteers. We're going to need volunteers to help us clean the space we're currently in, and help us organize and clean the space that we're going to be in, so that families can come visit and that it's clean for them to use. And we still have events that we're doing. We need families to volunteer at different events that we have. There's Get a Fest in Northern Kentucky. That's a 4-day event, and adults and kids can volunteer together, for that. There's walk runs and different things throughout the year that kids and adults can help with. As far as kids volunteering with our dragonflies, though, that becomes a bigger challenge, just because it's hard for kids necessarily to know what to say around kids with cancer, or they might see kids one time that look fine, and the next time they see them, they don't. And it's hard enough for us sometimes to see those kids and not cry, and we don't want to necessarily put that burden on you guys as volunteers. So, and then there's also the safety factor. Do you really know how important it is to wash your hands and not touch your nose, and do things that can put our families at risk, put our kids at risk?
Rhea mentioned opportunities for our kids and families to get involved, and the other great one is the Candy Race.
Oh, yeah.
A really fun, family-friendly event that's over Memorial Day weekend down at Sawyer Point. Everybody I know who's gone has just said it was one of the best
It's awesome.
fun events, but
Yeah.
there's Shamrock Shuffle, where parents and kids can run together. They even have a family untimed event, a lot of fun. But it's the important thing is just getting together with your friends and your family and doing something you enjoy, having fun and doing it for a good cause together. But Get a Fest is a great way for kids to get involved. Sending video messages to our Dragonflies, making a video message. You guys have a great capability here to make a message from your class of encouragement and joy. Just tell some jokes and
read a book, sing a song, you know.
Anything you might want to, something that would brighten your day. You could share it with them. We can put it on our Facebook page that our families can access and they can enjoy just a little message of joy from you guys.
Yeah,
so there's lots of great ways.
It could be, it's February, happy birthday to all the Dragonflies born in February or whatever it is. But, you know, if you can't come to an event or you can't come and volunteer at the landing or you know, there's so many ways that you can help, even just in your own neighborhood, in your own home, with the people that you know, with the places that you go. Just even telling people about the Dragonfly Foundation is one more person who's going to know about us. And that person might be the person who's related to Taylor Swift, or, you know, you never know. Everybody knows someone, and everybody can make a difference, and there's no such thing as wasted effort.
How old do you have to be to volunteer?
So we have a student program, so students can get involved with us that way. And we have, gosh, 2 pages worth of ideas of things that you can do as a student. And then at 16, that's when you can start really volunteering around our kids, just because you have a better understanding. And then, yeah, but you can look on our website, look at our events and go, there's a motorcycle ride. I remember when Davidson said, make a sign and go hang out and wave a sign, or thank people. If you see their logo on our website and you go to that store or you go to that restaurant, go, thank you for supporting the Dragonfly Foundation. I can tell you they're going to be like, what? You know, because a lot of times people forget to say thank you, and we wouldn't be where we are today without help. So that's another way that people can easily help us, and it's something that is so different, and but it makes such a big impact.
So, about how many people or kids do you have in your student?
In our student ambassador program?
We currently partner with, well, as of today, 6 high schools. So we're just starting to move into Indiana right now, but we have 5 in the Cincinnati area. And it can be anywhere from, as long as you have 4 students and an adult that want to take a lead in bringing the program to your school. Like I said, right now it's at high school level, but we're looking to expand it in the next school year too, to middle school and junior schools. It's really, the passion has to be there, and if the volunteers want to help, we love to bring the program to the school. So we also work with Girl Scout troops. We can work with Boy Scout troops or teams too, if a team might want to do an event, because we've had kids hold softball tournaments for us.
Push-ups for patients.
Push-ups for patients, a wrestling group. Is this the 4th or 5th year they've done it?
5th year, yeah.
And it's at a tournament, and they do as many push-ups as they can in 2 minutes and get people to pledge them. And it was kind of brutal watching those kids and those adults doing it, but I was impressed.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It really is. It's whatever kids want to do to enjoy, to have fun, and bring that program to their school. Like I said, we encourage lessons such as leadership, respect, kindness. And that's the idea, is to get that in your school, to do something together with friends and staff, and to have fun while you do that.
So thank you guys for coming today. It was amazing being able to learn about the Dragonfly Foundation and what you guys do. And thank you guys for watching the Youth Voices of Greater Cincinnati, and we'll see you guys next time.